We find it buried in ancient tombs, sunk in shipwrecks, or piled into shimmering mountains beneath the greatest monster we've ever imagined. Welcome to the Mysteries of Mythology. Why dragons hoard gold? Why does this creature, fire-breathing, winged, immortal, always have a hoard? It doesn't eat gold. It can't spend it. What use does a creature of the apocalypse have for shiny rocks? You could rule kingdoms, wander forgotten realms, breathe fire across the world. Instead, you sit in a cave counting coins for centuries. This isn't just a fantasy story. The idea of the dragon's hoard shows up in myth after myth, across continents, across cultures, across time. And the reason? It isn't just greed. It's something deeper, something far more human. And to understand it, we need to start with not a dragon, but with a dwarf. In the old stories of Norse mythology, before the gods fell and the world froze, there lived a dwarf named Fafnir. He was strong, clever, proud, the fiercest son of Hreidmar, a powerful chieftain. He had two brothers, Regin, a master smith, and Otter, a shapeshifter who often swam the rivers as an otter. One day, Otter was killed by the trickster god Loki, who mistook him for common game. As payment for the accidental murder, the gods were ordered to fill Otter's skin with gold. And they did. But the otter's skin grew and stretched, demanding more gold than any dwarf could imagine. To finish the ransom, Loki stole a treasure hoard from the dwarf Andvari, including a cursed ring called Andvaranot. Andvari warned them the gold would bring nothing but ruin, and he was right. Fafnir and Regin returned home only to watch their father become consumed by the treasure. He hoarded it, guarded it, refused to share even a coin. But Fafnir heard something in the dark, a whisper from the gold itself. It told him to take it, that his brother would betray him, that his father would never give him the rightful share. So Fafnir killed his father, chased Regin into exile, and took the hoard for himself. But the curse demanded more. It didn't just want his loyalty, it wanted his soul. Slowly, Fafnir changed. His skin thickened into scales. His breath grew hot with poison. His limbs stretched into something monstrous. The dwarf who once stood proud among the craftsmen became a dragon, a beast with no purpose but to hoard. He buried himself in the wilderness, curling his massive body around the treasure, letting it eat away what little was left of him. The Norse called it lying on gold, a sickness of the soul, a paranoia so deep it isolates you from the world, a curse that doesn't kill, just turns you into something no longer human. When the hero Sigurd finally arrived to slay Fafnir, the dragon didn't beg for his life. He gave a warning. The treasure doesn't serve you. You serve it. And once you start, there's no going back. Fafnir's hoard was cursed, but not by magic alone. The real curse was psychological. The gold didn't just twist his body, it infected his mind. The 20th century psychoanalyst Eric Fromm called this the having mode of existence, a way of living where values come not from who you are, but from what you own. In that world, The dragon is the ultimate expression. It has everything, but it has nothing. It doesn't spend. It doesn't share. It just guards obsessively. Like a jailer who's locked inside the very cell it watches. And in many ancient cultures, before coin and vault and bank, hoarding was considered unnatural. Power came from giving, not keeping. Leaders proved their status by how much they shared. In rituals like potlatch ceremonies, where wealth was redistributed in great festivals of generosity. To hoard was to withdraw from the community, to refuse the cycle, to trap value and let it die. That's the dragon's role, a creature of antisocial greed, the opposite of life, the end of circulation, the beginning of decay. Fafnir's sickness wasn't a fantasy, it was a warning. Because the gold never just sits there, it changes the one who keeps it. Not all dragons begin as men. Some are far older. And their hoards are not symbols of greed, but something sacred. In the Epic of Beowulf, the dragon is ancient, a sky-winger that's lived alone for centuries. It guards a hoard buried with the last of a forgotten people. No one visits, no one remembers, but still the dragon watches over it. Not for glory, but for duty. Here, the treasure is a grave marker, a memory of a dead kingdom. The dragon doesn't hoard to consume, it hoards to preserve. You see this again in Greek mythology. The treasures are different, golden apples, magical fleece, but the dragons guarding them aren't monsters of desire. They're gatekeepers, placed there by the gods to test the worth of heroes. These dragons don't choose their hoards, they're bound to them. The treasure isn't stolen wealth, it's a divine secret. In Chinese mythology, dragons, also known as Long, guard not gold but pearls of wisdom and elemental power. In Japan, they protect sacred jewels that control the tides. They're not symbols of greed but of balance, of harmony. The dragons in these stories aren't something to fear, they're something to respect. Because some things, knowledge, cosmic order, divine authority, are too powerful to leave unguarded. So while Fafnir hoards out of madness, these dragons guard with purpose. One type of dragon isolates, the other protects. The difference isn't in the hoard, it's in the reason it's kept. We don't need fantasy to find dragons anymore. They're here, around us. Not in caves, but in boardrooms, in vaults, in gated estates, in offshore accounts. Take the modern billionaire. They already own more than most nations. They could end hunger, rebuild cities, change lives. But the hoard keeps growing. Why? Because the fear is the same. The fear of not having enough, of losing control, of being vulnerable. The dragon's sickness isn't about hunger. It's about possession, not to use, just to have. And once the hoard becomes your identity, you can never stop. You don't trust, you don't share, you can't. But it's not just them, it's the system. It's all of us in smaller ways. Hoarding data, photos, files, stuff we never touch, just in case. And maybe that's why I keep thinking of a friend I have. They live simply, a small flat, a backpack, not much else. They travel constantly, they own almost nothing. And yet, It's as if the whole world offers itself to him. People offer him food, shelter, kindness. They're always smiling, and somehow they never want for anything. No hoard, no fortress, no fear, just trust. But then there are the others, people with more than anyone's soul could ever use, and still something is missing. If we're souls, maybe we're like open cups. They fill just by being present, just by being. And others, they need to pour the whole world into themselves, and even then, it's not enough. That's the curse. Not just the fear of losing what you have, but the fear that without it, you'd be nothing at all. So, what is a dragon really? A monster? A guardian? Or something else? Sometimes the dragon is a mirror, showing us what happens when we let the hunger grow too loud. Fafnir wasn't born evil. He just believed the lie that he could only be safe if he owned everything. And that lie still lives with us. Because part of us wants to slay the dragon, and part of us wants to be it. We dream of freedom, power, total independence. But we forget that dragons are always alone. They win, yes, but at what cost? Smaug sits on a treasure vast enough to feed nations, but no friends, no joy, no future. The mountain isn't a kingdom, it's a tomb. That's the real tragedy of dragons. They have everything and nothing. And maybe that's why dragon slaying often feels like mercy. It's not just about restoring balance or stealing treasure. It's about releasing something that forgot how to let go. Because once the Hoard becomes your identity, there's no end in the guarding, no peace, no pause. To hoard or to share, to shrink inward or to open up, to protect something sacred or become consumed by the fear of losing it. Dragons were never just villains. They were symbols of temptation, isolation, and the cost of obsession, but also of the possibility of change. Because unlike them, we still have time to choose another ending. So, why do dragons hoard gold? Because they've forgotten how to live without it. Because they fear being nothing without their treasure. Because they've become trapped inside the very thing they thought would keep them safe. And that's the question these stories leave us with. What are we guarding? What are we afraid to lose? And more importantly, what might we gain if we finally let go? As always, mystics, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.